So Manny, welcome to your exclusive interview with at Mario Boone TV. You and I have known each other for quite some time now. I broke your original story when I was a reporter
Yes.
in Connecticut, down in New Haven. So for those people who are not aware, let me just give them some quick background. You were going through a messy divorce
Yes.
just a couple of years ago. And at the time, a detective from the Seymour Police Department, and what is his name, by the way? Remind me.
Detective Stephen Ditria.
Right, okay. So Detective Ditria happens to be friends with your ex-wife.
Yes.
And apparently, as a favor to her, he ran your driver license information through the state criminal history database, which is called the Collect system there in Connecticut.
Yes.
He did this without proper authorization and, might I add, illegally, because at the time you were not under any kind of criminal investigation involving the Seymour Police Department. In fact, you didn't even live in Seymour, right?
Never lived in Seymour. Barely drive through Seymour.
Yeah. So essentially what this detective did was he abused his police power to run your private personal information through a police database. And then he gathered your personal information. And what did he do with it?
He took a picture of it and sent it to my ex-wife, Dr. Artemis Morris. And also, I believe he was coaching her on what to do to one-up me on the divorce proceedings, which it happened to work too.
Yeah, so now for those of you who are wondering, like this was all, everything we just said is all factual. I mean, I went through a public freedom of information request through the town of Seymour when this first happened. I gathered all these records detailing exactly what this detective did. There was an internal affairs investigation conducted by the Seymour Police Department, and he was found to have violated internal police policy. And he was issued discipline, correct? What did they do to him?
8-day suspension without pay, I believe. I mean, there was a similar case where I believe it was East Haven where something similar happened and the officer was terminated.
Yeah, because for people wondering, I mean, this is a very serious violation here. When you misuse a police database to gather information for personal reasons, that's a major violation. And you can actually be criminally charged for doing that.
In this case, and by the way, his wife is a state representative.
Well, I was going to get to that next, because she's not just a state representative. She's one of the most powerful state representatives in the state of Connecticut. I mean, she is the...
That's his sister-in-law.
Right, she's at the top of the ladder.
Yes, and his wife...
Tell us who she is.
Okay, his wife is Nicole Claridis Ditria, and his sister-in-law is Themis Claridis, who's the minority leader of the House of Representatives.
Right. So obviously he's very well politically connected.
Oh yeah. And the like the mayor, it's not called mayor; it's the first selectman.
The first selectman. I happen to know very well over there in Seymour. He's also a Republican. So there's no question this detective is very well connected politically. And that might be why he didn't get criminally charged. We don't know. But the police department did find that he violated policy and they did discipline him.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the end of the troubles for you based on this information he gathered.
Well, while he was going through the internal affairs investigation, there were many attempts to discredit me. Many, many attempts. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were trying to force me to come down to be interviewed. And I mean, one of the, I believe it was the assistant to the chief, I overheard him laughing at me with his buddies there on the phone once. I mean, they were trying to make me the bad guy. Meanwhile, I was
making this okay without you actually, without him being disciplined.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us how this whole episode impacted your divorce, your life personally. What happened to you as a result of him obtaining this information illegally? Okay,
well, afterward, my wife at the time went in front of a judge and asked for a restraining order for nothing. I mean, I was never violent, never threatening, for no reason at all. And meanwhile, while she did that, she lied under oath. She lied about an assault that never happened. And it was, I have police records that there was never an assault. There was an incident in my place of business in New Haven that she came in and she wanted merchandise that I was selling in my place because she had her own place. And there was not an altercation, but an argument. And she claimed that I assaulted her and injured her hand. Meanwhile, video camera footage showed no assault. I have all the proof. And she wound up getting the restraining order. And I'm like, why? So why am I getting served with a restraining order? I never did anything wrong. I mean, it's common in divorce court, but I'm not threatening. I was never threatening. And, of course, according to her, I was. And the first, I get a call from the state police. You got to turn in your firearms. I'm like, why? I didn't do anything. Why should I? So they said I got a warrant on me for like a firearm-related charge. And I have like 2 felonies, most likely because of the detective Stephen Ditria's advice that she did that. I mean,
what was the outcome of the criminal charges that they filed against you?
I'm on a program like for 2 years.
Immersion program?
Yeah, some program, and I got another year left, and it would be dropped. But
Okay.
I went to court 17 times, and I paid an attorney thousands of dollars because of some false charge.
Mm-hmm.
My wife filing a false restraining order.
What did she do with the information that he obtained and passed along to her?
Well, it was used in court, in divorce court, in the civil court, and I had a mutual agreement for equal custody. And sure enough, all this information was given to the court, and I got my kids, instead of having half the time, I got them a quarter of the time, which I think was because of all this.
Did you ever learn exactly what information he was able to capture from that person, from the private database?
Pretty much my firearm information. Like, that's private information. Why would he even send it?
Okay.
I think they were, of course, she was asking for advice to one-up me, to win in divorce court, which she did. I mean, she totally won. I mean, I lost my kids. I got them, she got sole custody, sole legal and physical custody. I only have them a quarter of the time where it was equal.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe it was because of the Seymour detective Stephen Ditria's advice to her. I do believe that. So I was clearly damned, and still to this day, I mean, I don't have my kids back equally.
Well, just, what was it like for you having your personal info, violated in that way by someone who's supposed to uphold the law? I mean, we're talking about a police detective. What was it
clearly
like?
They were trying to, one-up me in court. That's what, so it was all about divorce court, how to get me. And then, she still keeps threatening arrest. I mean, it's common in divorce court. I mean, there's plenty of cases like that.
Yeah, but I guess for me, when you learned it was an officer who was behind, basically stealing your information, how did that hit you? How did that make you feel learning that information?
Very upset. I mean, why me? I was very upset. I mean, emotionally upset, very much. I mean, I had to go they put a warrant out for my arrest over nothing.
How did you find out he was involved in it?
Through a common computer. I happened to go on.
You happened to stumble on a computer and see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a computer that was used by us.
So he's been disciplined by the police department, but obviously that was not satisfying to you.
No, absolutely not.
So where does this thing stand now? I mean, the discipline wasn't enough. You want more done. So what's happening now?
Well, we're in, I have I retained attorney John Williams.
Yeah, I know John Williams.
And I mean, this happened like over a year ago. And he finally filed the civil lawsuit.
So you're suing him?
Yes. I mean, I was clearly, there's no doubt about it. I was injured by his actions. There's no doubt. And he admitted to it. And it went through an internal affairs investigation, and he got reprimanded, 8-day suspension, and loss of use of this NCIS, I believe it's called, computer system.
NCIC.
Yeah, and so he lost his privileges to that for a year. I mean, but clearly I mean, I lost a lot. I mean, I
You
lost
think
my
that was a
kids.
slap on the wrist, basically?
That's what's that? I mean, I believe his political connections kept him from my. An officer gets terminated. He's a detective. He knows better. It was clearly done to malice towards me.
So this is for you, I would assume, about accountability. You want this detective held accountable beyond what the police department already did.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I overheard them laughing at me when they were trying to convince me to come down, and I said, I'm not coming down. My attorney advised me not to. And they were like, they must have had me on speaker, and they were laughing at me. At the
are you concerned that he might have shared your information with more than just your ex-wife?
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. He shared it with New Haven, I believe, because there was something that my ex-wife found that New Haven, when I got arrested, New Haven knew about it. And what my ex-wife found was back when I was in high school, there was in Times Squares, there were novelty ID shops. So you would go buy this ID that's, it's clearly a novelty. And it was like expired since 1991, I believe. It was an ID. They had ID shops in there. And she took a picture of it and like sent it to him. Oh, look what I got. Can we use this against him, sort of thing. And so in New Haven, they knew about, oh, what about this ID incident? I'm like, what are you talking about? It was my high school novelty IDs from 25 years ago, at least 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And they tried to, so there was information, I believe, was shared from Seymour Police Department to New Haven Police Department.
Yeah. Are there lingering?
Because they did make a comment to me. There was an officer, Kyle, that said, oh, what about these IDs?
Are there lingering concerns or fears about what else the police department there in Seymour or even in New Haven might try to do in retaliation based on your complaint or based on this lawsuit?
Exactly. I'm sure they're trying to. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I'm insult to injury.
All right. So, and finally, there's a bill working its way through the Connecticut legislature right now that would hold police accountable for misconduct. It would really clamp down on officers, abusing citizens. And I think one of the key parts of the bill that's really become very controversial is the elimination of qualified immunity for police officers there in Connecticut. What are your thoughts on this bill that's working its way through the legislature, and what would you like to see lawmakers do in regards to police accountability?
Well, of course, the police, the individual should be responsible for his own actions. Common sense.
So I assume you support that. I assume you support.
Yes, of course.
Legislation. Okay. All right. Is there anything I left out?
I believe the detectives. Okay.
Go ahead.
Is the internet choppy?
Yeah, it's a little slow, but go ahead.
I believe the detective's sister-in-law. Okay, I believe the detective's sister-in-law is against the legislation. I was in a Hartford Current article yesterday that she does not support personal responsibility
for the cops.
I recall. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you for your time coming on with at Mario Boone TV.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. Is there anything I missed that you want to add, or any other thoughts you have before we let you go?
Well, it was we brought the suit in civil court, and they want it now in federal court. By the way, he has some big law firm out of Milford that's representing him, and they want to try it in federal court for some reason.
I wonder what his defense is going to be, because he's already admitted to doing it, and his own department has disciplined him. Yeah, I mean, he's been disciplined.
Well, John Williams is Attorney Williams. He wants a fair and reasonable compensation. I mean, it's clearly I'm damaged. I was injured. Clear, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, they say
he cost me all this. He cost me thousands.
Mm-hmm. All right, Manny.
Many thousands.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your story and giving us this update. You know, again, this is a story.
Thank you for having me.
I broke this story. It seems like it's been at least 2 years now, at least a year, when I first broke this story, and it just kind of mushroomed. I remember when I first did this story, I made the phone call over to Seymour, and they tried everything they could to get me not to report this. But I just told them flat out, you know, this is a legitimate story, and I'm going to report it. Give me a statement, or we'll just run it without a statement from you. We'll use a no comment. And they ended up commenting.
Oh, you know what's funny too? The Seymour Police Department removed Detective Stephen Ditria's name from their front page. It's been on there for a couple of years, I believe, and they just removed it.
Yeah, well, I think this was a black eye for the department. I know they didn't want to have to deal with it, but they did. You know, they dealt with it. But and until I made that initial phone call, they had not even started an investigation of his behavior. It was only after I called them to ask questions about
Thank you, Mary.
that they launched their
Yeah, you did a lot for me. Thank you.
Well, I don't say it to brag.
I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you did, Mario. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't say that to brag, but I do think it's worth highlighting the fact that they were likely aware of this and had not made any movement on it until they got a phone call from the press. You know.
Exactly.
All right. Well, listen. Thanks again. All the best.
Mario. Thanks for everything you did.
Absolutely. Good luck. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.